Hello and welcome everyone to our 18th episode of The Little Inside. My name is still Tobi, and this week we are going to have a look at unwanted emotions and how to deal with them. So let's get started right after the intro. If we are thinking about unwanted emotions, then we are often thinking about those feelings that we have, such as anger, resentment, sadness, depression, and all these kind of feeling complexes that are in our mind, in our being. And why are they unwanted? Simply because they are painful, they are hurting. When they are arising, they are a bit like a fire on the inside. Sometimes they are unbearable. All we want is to get rid of them. So this is usually how we deal with things that are unwanted. We want to get rid of them. We want to push them away. We want to push them out. But this is precisely how we actually give birth to unwanted emotions. We're giving birth to unwanted emotions by pushing aside essential aspects of our being. In order to live a life completely, we have to accept that to each and everything in this universe, there are two sides. There is the side of light, all that we usually appreciate, what we like, what we want to get more of. You can say the side of life. And then there is also the side of the darkness, that what we don't like, that what makes us scared, such as death, sorrow, loss, and inner pain. So the way we usually deal with these emotions is by trying to get rid of them. And if you notice, that's exactly also the same way we're dealing with our enemies, with our perceived enemies that seem to be out there in the world. The terrorists, your neighbors, all the bad stuff that's going on around you, all these bad people. And what do we do with them, or what do we want to do with them is to get rid of them, to kind of get out of the situation, not answer the phone, not answer the email. We don't want to have anything to do with them. And in exactly the same way, we are dealing with our own self, with our own emotions, with our own painful memories, with our sadness, our depression, our anxieties, and so forth. We're dealing in exactly the same way we would be dealing with enemies. So at first, we're trying to gently get these out of the system. What could I do to get rid of sadness? What could I do to overcome depression? What could I do to not face the truth of this moment? What could I do to distract myself from the way I am right now? And you see that there is something a little bit fishy about this approach. Getting rid of essential aspects of yourself never works for long. You can suppress emotions temporarily. You can actually, for example, it is useful sometimes to suppress your anger, to just push it aside for the sake of not expressing it and hurting someone else with it. It might be wise at some points in your life to suppress it. It does work, but is it a perfect method? Surely not. What is a perfect method, however, is rooted in acceptance. First of all, honestly noticing that you are an emotional being. There are emotions to all of us, everywhere in the world. Every living being experiences emotions. My cats, they experience emotion. You can see that they're happy and joyful when we're coming back home. When I'm petting them, they're really happy about it. You can see they surrender to it. They lie down on their back and they stretch out their paws and so forth. They're enjoying it. But if you make a loud noise or there is something disturbing them, they run away from it. They try to get out of the situation. Even ants do that. There's even fear in all living beings. The fear of death, the fear of loss, the fear of not being enough, the fear of being a failure, and so forth. We all have it in some or the other way. And so these unwanted emotions are not something to get rid of. That doesn't help. It doesn't transform them. It doesn't help you to feel more whole, more serene, more peaceful, and more settled inside of yourself. It actually disturbs and upsets the inner balance more if you are neglecting and pushing away aspects of yourself that are vital and important for your growth. So usually there are two ways in which we are dealing with our emotions, our thoughts, our sense of self, our personality, and other people. One, we are expressing ourselves. We are walking around in this world, in this life, and we are expressing our fears, our hopes, our worries, our happiness. We are expressing these emotions. We are bringing it out into the world. The result of expressing our emotions outwardly and bringing them into the world is clearly seen. You look at human history. A very simple example of actually seeing that expressing each and every emotion randomly as it comes into our mind is not necessarily beneficial. It might be beneficial in cases, but very often is not beneficial. Then the other option would be suppressing, kind of denying that there are these emotions. Also, many people are doing that, including myself. I have a tendency, I'm observing that tendency inside of myself, that when an unwanted emotion arises in me, like let's say for example anger, I see something that upsets me that I don't like. And then there is anger coming up as a result. Now what I habitually do is trying to get rid of the anger, kind of suppressing it. I'm pushing it away. No, I'm not experiencing anger. I'm way too spiritual to experience anger like that. So in a way that's very dishonest. So what we want to do is actually first of all noticing that there is the anger, and that's the third kind of way of dealing with things. We have the first one, which is expressing, the second one, which is swallowing it down or suppressing it, and the third way is releasing it. First of all, allowing yourself to have a human emotion. Sometimes I think it's pretty crazy that in this world, people seem to feel they have to constantly be happy. They have to constantly rejoice in everything, always running around with a smile. They always have to be grateful. But this is not human in a way, you can say. We have all kinds of emotions. And by celebrating that, the nice emotions in our life, and by totally pushing away all that we consider to be not so nice, it's very unbalanced, it's very dishonest in a way. And it creates all sorts of conflicts and confusion, doesn't it? Like suppressing my anger, for example, for the sake of looking a little bit more spiritual or living up to my internal image that I have created, the way I feel that I should be, like always angelic, calm, happy, well composed, always having a little bit of wisdom on my lips to share with everyone who comes to me, all this kind of ideal image. But it is so dishonest, isn't it? And in a way, with this dishonesty, I'm actually pushing aside a very important aspect of myself, the energy of anger, which is there. I'm getting angry at something. So the first step is to receive the anger within honesty. Noticing, yes, I totally forgot. I'm a human being and I have human emotions. There's this emotional being inside of me, and it expresses itself due to the causes and circumstances that are there. So instead of pushing it aside, instead of making it something that is unwanted, I notice that I am in resistance towards a very vital aspect of myself. So in a way I say vital because all emotions and all thoughts are actually food for inside. They are food for our wisdom, our compassion, and our kindness to grow. Therefore, really nothing should be something that is unwanted for someone who is on a spiritual path. No feeling, no thought, no emotion that you experience should be on the list of, well, this is unwanted, I don't want that one, and so I push it aside, I don't want to deal with that. But actually, contemplate like this. Now, this emotion is an opportunity to get to know yourself. And how do you get to know yourself? Let's say the emotion of jealousy comes up. Now, does that mean that you are a jealous person and you suddenly discover, wow, I didn't know that I'm such a jealous or angry person? No. But this emotion gives you the opportunity to get to know yourself as the observer, the friendly presence in which this emotion is allowed to exist. And that is something so powerful, I can't even find the right words to describe it. If you are able to host your emotions, or whatever emotion that is, anger, sadness, fear, anxiety, worry, whatever ones of the unwanted emotions that comes up, if you're able to host it as a friend in this very friendly space, almost like you're opening the door of your house for your best friend to come in, then this energy of the abandoned emotion returns back home into your being. It actually helps you to grow inwardly, and it helps you to become more spacious and more relaxed about life. And that's a fantastic thing. You can say that all emotions or thoughts, all aspects of yourself are melting and dissolving within a warm, friendly, and honest atmosphere of awareness. If you are able to open up to life just the way it is, not as it should be, please notice that, not as it should be, but as it is, the truth of this moment, if you're able to open up to it and receive it with friendliness and kindness, then whatever unwanted situation or whatever situation that came up that you considered to be unwanted becomes food for the process of inner transformation. And it becomes food for your spiritual path. It nourishes your being. It is an energy that is returning home. Keeping such an energy, such an emotional or thought-based energy at a distance, fighting it and resisting it, is painful. It is causing you and all others around you a whole lot of suffering, unnecessary suffering. So this completes episode 18 of The Little Inside. We've been covering a little bit these unwanted emotions and how to deal with them. And hopefully by now it's much more clear that the way to peace is not by getting rid of vital aspects of yourself, of important aspects that are there. The way to peace is through honesty, friendliness, and warmth. If you have any questions concerning this episode of The Little Inside or any other episode of The Little Inside, feel free to just write it down in the comment section below or write me an email. And for now, I think that's good enough. So I wish you guys a fantastic next week. Enjoy yourselves and be aware of the so-called unwanted emotions. Integrate them and grow through them. Bye-bye. Have a great week.